when I think about Naomi and what she walked through, ooh-wee, what an example of remaining true, remaining held to the truth that God the Father offered despite what she was living. Because the reality is, God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, right? Can we agree on that? Yes, he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. Fun fact, that's despite how we feel about him, right? We can be super happy about what God is doing. We can be super not happy about what God is doing. And he remains faithful. He still remains Yahweh here. He remains Yahweh here. He remains Yahweh here. He remains the creator of the universe here, here, here. It remains true that he sent his son Jesus, God himself, here, 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 despite what we're walking and how we feel about what he's doing. Can I tell you how much that proved to be true in Naomi's life and how it literally saved my life? Because I understand when Naomi walked this road of grief without her husband and without her two sons, she's in this land of people who don't worship the same God that she is. Yet somehow, way deep down, excuse me, she knows, her soul knows what her mouth cannot utter and what her heart cannot align with and what her head certainly isn't saying, which is, God, you are good. You are good, you are good, you are good. Those are words that can be extremely difficult, yet practically impossible to say in a time where we want something so bad, we can hardly stand it. But when our hearts are so broken that we can't fathom that he is good, right? We've been in that place. Naomi was in that place where she wondered, God, are you good? Are you good? Like, I know that you are, and I hope that you are, but I'm not sure that I believe it. So I wonder if when she invited Orpah and Ruth, she actually invited Orpah and Ruth to go back to their families in Moab so they could find husbands. Because Naomi knew she was not going to get married again, and she certainly knew that she could not birth more children, more sons for Ruth and Orpah to marry to continue within their bloodline. So she invites them to go to their home. Orpah says, okay, returns home. Ruth says, no, I'm coming with you. Think about what that meant for Ruth. She has to leave everything she knew, right? Her whole life, to go with this lady, her mom-in-law, right, who she obviously trusted, into a land who worships the God of the universe, which is completely foreign to her because her family group had always been pagan worshipers. Yes? So when I think about that and I think about Naomi's obedience to continue to talk about the Lord and what he did and his faithfulness, Ruth says, no, your people will be my people and your God will be my God. That right there, that line, boom, right there tells me that Naomi remained firmly rooted in the truth of who God said he was, despite that her heart was in a bajillion pieces, right? And I often wonder if when Naomi and Ruth were taking that journey back to Bethlehem and Judah, if it looked a little bit like this. God, like, I'm hungry. I hear that there's food, that you've put food back in Bethlehem. But God, I need a different kind of food. I need you. Are you there? Are you there, God? I hear that you're good. I've always professed that you're good. God, are you? Ruth, come on. Okay. Are you sure you don't want to go back, Ruth? No, Naomi, I'm going with you. Your God will be my God. Your people will be my people. It's where then Naomi and Ruth, they get to Bethlehem, and they've been gone for 10 years, at least 10 years. And the women, it's in verse 19. It says the women were excited to see them. They were excited to see Naomi and Ruth. Naomi was not excited to see them. Have you ever been in that place where you were just so like, Your skin crawls with either anger, frustration, disappointment, loneliness, longing, that when you see somebody who like seems to be smiling all the time, you're like, hashtag no deal, right? You went completely away from them because one, you're a little bit jealous at what they have. And two, you know that what you're living right now in this moment is not that. And you cannot fathom, why do they have it and not me? What did I do, Lord, that you would bless them and not me, right? I know we've all been in that place. So if you try to say that you haven't, you're lying, okay? Because we live this life. So when I think about the women being excited to see Naomi and Ruth, Naomi actually says the words, I love her. She just called it like it is. I think we're going to be friends in heaven. She says, don't call me Naomi. Call me Mara, for the Almighty has made me very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. Why do you call me Naomi, since the Lord has pronounced judgment on me and the Almighty has afflicted me? Have you been there? Yes. You might be there now. Yes. It's okay to be in that place, y'all. It's okay, because you don't have to stay there. When I think about the time, I related so much with Naomi. John, I told you that we have two teenagers, an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old. But we also have a daughter who would be 12. She would be turning 12 this summer, who only got to spend this side of heaven with us for about 4 hours. Okay? And let me just say that when that whole experience happened, in the face of knowing that there were thousands of people praying for our daughter's healing, and then not seeing that come to fruition, let me just tell you that I started to wonder if this whole God thing was a joke. Most of you only know me and John on this side of healing, right? Most of you don't know us within that season. A few of you do. And I am so completely grateful for you, because you didn't turn away from us. You didn't tell us we were crazy. Instead, you did what the church should do, which is pull us into the body and reminded us that God is faithful and true regardless of what we were experiencing and despite how hard those words were to hear. The thing is our pain in that season didn't stop with our daughter's death. We endured the loss of 2 more after her. And that's not to be like, oh, yay, poor Blakni. I tried to wear that for a while, and it made me sick. The point is to tell you that I relate with Naomi because I was in a space that was so deep and so dark that, one, I questioned whether or not God was faithful, for sure. I actually told my husband before when I got pregnant with the second one, after we lost our daughter, Kinley, I told him, there's no way God would do it to us a 3rd time. I said those words to him. I believed them. So then, when we lost that baby, I went into a space that honestly I would have been fine to stay in, because the pain was so deep and so dark. I wanted nothing to do with a God who I had professed that was good. We were involved in ministry at our old church. We taught preschool. I was in the choir. Fortunately, a choir, not with a microphone, right? Nobody needs to hear all that except the glory of the Lord, because it says to make a joyful noise, right? So when I hear these words deep in my soul, praise him anyway, I certainly didn't want to, because I questioned everything about him. I called him a liar. I said he was a fool. I said there was no way he was going to go back on that. And God, what about all the people who were praying for her? What about all the people that you let down? You let me down, God. You let me down. There's actually a song that we sing that there's a line that says, you've never disappointed me, and it makes my skin crawl every time. Sorry, Pax. Because it says, you've never disappointed me, and let me tell you, I have felt disappointed by the Lord. And if I were to ask you, you would probably agree that you've been in that place too. Which is why it is so important that we understand that God's faithfulness and his goodness and his purity and his holiness function despite how we feel about him. Thank God. Thank God. Right? He loves us then, he loves us now, he loves us in the future. Despite our feelings. Whether you want him to love you or not, whether you believe that he's good or not, he is and he does.